Order. That question is out of order. Question number 2, Metiria Turei.
Point of order, sir.
Point of order, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, sir. I refer you to Speaker's Rulings 151/5 of Gray and Tapsell. My primary question was originally accepted and authenticated by the Clerk of the House and directed to the Prime Minister concerning his own statements. Sir, only the Prime Minister can know whether or not he agrees or stands by his own statement. This is not a question that could reasonably be answered by any other person and therefore should not have been transferred according to Speaker's rulings.
Speaking to the point of order, Honourable Trevor Miller.
Mr Speaker, this is an area that we've had some experience in recently, and I thought the point we had got to was that when questions are transferred like this, they should at least be reworded to say, is it the Minister of Economic Development's understanding that the Prime Minister stands by his statement? And what that does is at least go to the real question, and that is what is in the mind of the Prime Minister, not his subsidiary minister. Because, Mr Speaker, that is the right of members to ask.
Speaking further to the point of order?
Yes, sir. Well, then I would also, thank you, Mr Speaker, I would also refer you to Speaker's Rulings 1525, where while it is accepted that ministers' questions can be transferred to ministers, and that in those circumstances there may be some grammatical changes that need to be made to the question to make sure that they are relevant, it is nonetheless an issue if a question is in effect out of order as a result of the transfer. So that it is not sufficient to simply say a question can be reworded, but that actually there is a serious issue if a question is out of order unless it is reworded. That suggests that it should not have been transferred in the first place.
Speaking to the point of order, Honourable Jerry Brown.
Mr Speaker, 2 points on that last point from the member. I think what we're seeing more frequently is attempts by particularly the Green Party to rewrite standing orders by virtue of Speaker's rulings. There is a process for the rewriting of standing orders, and I'd suggest that they do participate more fully in that process. But, Mr Speaker, on this occasion, 1521, which does protect the government's right to transfer questions to the appropriate minister, where there is going to be the most information available, does stand. And indeed, the member has proved to the House that is the right course of action in this case by insisting on asking this very question directly to the Prime Minister during the supplementary questions to question number 1. And the Prime Minister, while answering as well as possible, clearly said there's other information that would be better answered by the Minister responsible for this particular aspect of government involvement. Therefore, the transfer is not some deception, sir, but a genuine understanding of what is required by the House when the question is asked, and the expectation that the answer is better given by another minister.
No, I need no further assistance on this. Thank you. There are a number of Speaker's rulings around this particular issue, and I particularly want to refer Ms Turei to Speaker's ruling 1521 and 2. It is the government's right to transfer a question, and there would only be very exceptional circumstances when the Speaker would rule that not appropriate, and that would be if I in any way anticipated the government was avoiding answering a question. In my mind, this question can very easily and justifiably be transferred, and it has done so. Subsequent to the transfer, clearly the wording then required some alteration because it was a statement by the Prime Minister and not by the Minister of Economic Development. There was further discussion between the Office of the Clerks and the member for that wording to then be approved by the member. So the question stands if the member wants to ask it. If the member does not want to ask it, she does not have to, and we'll move immediately to question number 3.
Point of order, sir.
Is it a fresh point of order? It's not in any way disputing
No.
ruling given, I will hear a fresh point of order.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I refer to Speaker's ruling 152/2, which you have referred to also, but to a particular matter that is referred to in that Speaker's ruling, where Speaker Wilson said that ideally these changes, transfers should be rare, arising from real and significant conflicts of interest. Where they do occur, it would be helpful if the government were to ensure members were officially informed. I would ask, sir, that you seek from the government members what the Prime Minister's conflict of interest in answering this question is.
That is now disputing the decision I've given as to the right for this question to be transferred. I've got a mind to move immediately to question number 3, but I will on this occasion show a little bit of goodwill to the member and now invite her to ask her question.
Point of order, sir. A different issue? Genuinely a different issue? Point of order, sir.
I will give the member one more chance to move to question number 2, otherwise we are immediately going to question number 3.
Point of order, sir.
No, the last point of order was meant to be a fresh one. It was again disputing my ruling. If the member wants to ask the question, she should proceed to do so.
Point of order, sir.
Question number 3, Alfred
Point
Nara.
of order, sir. Point of order, sir.
Point of order, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would make ask you for two clarifications. One is that where in the past members have stated that they are asking a point of order on a different issue, those members have been taken at their word, and I'm concerned that you did not take me at mine. That's the first issue. The second is that my point of order is that I seek leave of the House, which I am entitled to do, for this question to be transferred back to the Prime Minister.
No, the member, we've had this in the past, the question has already been transferred, and that is the matter that has been raised. I have given the reason. I'm not going to put up with the member jumping up and down to raising points of order when the point of order was clearly re-questioning a decision. I took the member at her word that it wouldn't, and she didn't do that.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
I will hear a point of order from Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think there are a couple of issues here, one of which is you are absolutely entitled to rule at any point that you've heard enough about a matter and insist that a member either raise a new matter or you can move on. You're absolutely entitled to do that. But I remember where a minister has transferred a question, a member is entitled to seek leave to transfer it back. So the situation that we have here is that Metiria Turei, having had your clear ruling, didn't contest that and asked to seek leave to transfer it back. She's entitled to do that, sir.
The difficulty with the point the member is raising is the member did contest my ruling with a subsequent point of order. She then attempted to raise, I think, a fourth point of order, seeking leave to transfer it. For the case of goodwill in this House, I'm prepared to let the member seek that leave. We all know, I think we can anticipate the result, but so seek leave. I will then go back to question number 2 on this occasion, but I warn members, if in the future they're going to continue to challenge rulings, the likelihood of me moving forward reasonably rapidly to the next question will occur. The member can so seek leave.
Point of order, sir. I seek leave of the House to have this question transferred back to the Prime Minister.
Leave is sought for that course of action. Is there any objection? Yes. There is.
Point of order.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Honourable David Parker.
In your last ruling, sir, you said that you will move on and not hear applications for leave, and I would ask you to reconsider that ruling, because it's a different matter asking for an interpretation from the Speaker as to whether something is in order or not, which is answered one way or the other, and then whatever that answer is, to seek leave for another course, because in the second case it's not your decision that's being asked for, it is the House's decision.
And I accept that, and that's why I did reconsider the matter. Question number 2.
Point of order. Point of order.
This is now getting to the very ridiculous stage. I'll take the Honourable Jerry Brownlee.
Mr. Speaker, I just don't want to prolong things, quite obviously, but we are in an interesting situation where you've got Speaker's ruling 1521, which says the government is perfectly entitled to transfer questions from one minister to the other. You've upheld that the transfer was quite reasonable in the circumstances. Yet we've had something I think may have crept in before, but it appears quite new to me, that a government having made a decision about where a question should go, members can then seek leave so the House can overrule a government. Now, Mr Speaker, that's not a good place for us to land in. And might I say also, Sir, that I note that you had previously ruled that the member had lost her question number 2 and it was moving on to question number 3. Question number 3 was called, Ms Dyson. Very, very loudly called.
I thank the member. The member raised a very good point, but at the end of the day, a member does have a right to seek leave for anything in this House. The chances of it then happening, I think, because the government has transferred the question, is very, very slim, and I anticipated that and I stated that. Listen, at this stage we've had a long session of points of order. I'm going to give the member, I'm going to go back on an earlier decision I made. I'm going to give the member a chance to ask question number 2, but I am not going to put up with that member rising to her feet and raising yet another point of order. Question number 2.
Point of order, Mr Speaker.
On the basis that a member has a right to raise a point of order, I will allow it, but if it in any way relitigates any of the matters that have been discussed this afternoon, then the member will lose that question.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Point of order. Under Speaker's Rulings 152/6, I withdraw question 2. Thank you.
Question number 3, Alfred Naro.
Tēnā koe te rangatira to the Minister.